XRP Apex was a massive trip. I mean, let's just be honest. This was probably one of the biggest XRP events in history so far because every single Apex is massive. But on top of that, all of the information dropped at this event was so substantial that I couldn't fit it all into one video. In fact, I've been making videos regarding the information, announced at XRP Apex over the last couple days. Now, one of the big things that did get announced was Pierce's technology actually got a confirmation from Joel Katz, the Ripple CTO, as well as Jazzy Cooper regarding the XRP Ledger EVM. It's confirmed now going live in Q2. This is featuring some DeFi apps, and of course we have Strobe Finance, Vertex Protocol, Secured Labs, and even Squid Router. Guys, this is very exciting. And I still think that this is probably going to be one of the biggest things for the XRP Ledger. I think that the sidechain is huge. And also, by the way, focus on Axeler, right? Recently, Axel just went crazy in the market, and it's because it is a big piece of this. And on top of that, Axeler is a very bullish project to begin with. I think that it's crazy that a lot of people just kind of wrote it off because of the price action lately. But, this is definitely a huge player in the space and an enabler of, for an example, like the EVM sidechain for the XRP Ledger. But also, before we really kind of continue, I have to say, if you guys do want to join that free Discord, there's going to be a link down in the description below. There's also a paid side to that, which has a ton of information in there. There's a team behind it, including, of course, myself. Tokenizers in there, JD's in there. I have a full, bunch of OG team members from the, Discord since 2021 as well in there with me. So if you guys do want to join, you guys are more than welcome to. There's going to be links down in the description below. Now, on top of this, let's actually go over here to the XRP Ledger EVM because Pierce's did put out a post regarding this, which I did include in the video because we have 87 new entities. Most that had no prior XRP involvement are now contributing to the ecosystem, infrastructure, apps, and demand generation. We can actually see all of those names. This is what's coming in Q2 of this year. So again, we're in the Q2 point, right? And it looks as though this is going to be announced very soon. I'm very excited about this. I think that this is going to be one of the biggest things for the XRP Ledger ecosystem, especially around DeFi initiatives. I think that this is going to grow the TVL. I think that's going to grow the overall volume and the value on the network as well, which will obviously lead back to XRP also gaining a lot of momentum. So very exciting stuff. And on top of that, we also got another big update from Pierce's technology regarding the testnet. So like I said, we are going to see a lot of big moves happening around the XRP Ledger once this does go live. The proof is from the testnet, right? Almost 300,000 daily transactions. We can see the total transactions, the total addresses as well. I mean, this is great to see. So we can see that there's a lot of demand. There's a lot of growth already on the testnet. I'm very excited to see what happens once this does go to mainnet. So I'm definitely focused on this. I'm definitely paying attention to it. I think every XRP holder should. But also on top of this, we did get a big update at Apex regarding XRP RLUSD as well and Hidden Road. Big shout to Wrath of Kahneman. We have Apex asked about the interaction between XRP and RLUSD. Higgins of Hidden Road said, "We're excited to clear the first XRP future on CME. Why? Hidden Road makes a basis trade where they buy XRP spot and sell XRP futures on CME, locking in the price difference basis, profiting if the gap narrows. The problem is the two markets have different hours, CME only on weekdays, adding risk on the weekends. Using RLUSD as collateral lets them flexibly cover their margins off hours to keep them from being liquidated. By reducing risk with RLUSD, Hidden Road hopes to profit more buying XRP and XRP futures. As I understand it, still getting used to the world of finance. Please chime in if I've misunderstood." Now, on top of this, right, I think that Brad Garlinghouse kind of let the big secret behind Hidden Road slip, not just at Apex, but also on multiple occasions. He did initially say that the Hidden Road acquisition was far, much bigger than what, we are aware of. Obviously, the $3 trillion move per year, the 300 institutional players tied to Hidden Road as well, is very substantial. It's something that everyone really kind of does talk about. But I also think that, what we are really looking at is just the, face value. Behind the face value, we also have all of these huge markets being tapped in around Hidden Road, like the FX market, for an example, which is $7.5 trillion per day. I mean, some of the connections that Hidden Road does have to TradFi is very significant. And I do think that there's a lot of, moves being made around XRP and RLUSD when it comes to Hidden Road. And I think that this kind of gives us a little bit of a glimpse into, what Hidden Road is planning to do. And it is definitely very, very exciting. Now, on top of that, like I said, yes, we did hear from Brad Garlinghouse at Apex, and we have here, this was at XRP Las Vegas, but we also did hear from Hidden Road at XRP Apex, which I'll talk about here in a second. But big shout out to Subjective Views for this. We have the importance of Ripple's acquisition of Hidden Road according to Brad Garlinghouse. Check it out.
One of the things in the Hidden Road acquisition particularly, I think Ripple tries to be a little bit, we're kind of at the infrastructure layer. We try to think about where the world is going and make bets that are going to play out over years. I've always talked about, and this community particularly has been extremely patient as we have fought some frustrating fights. But the Hidden Road acquisition is really about continuing to build bridges between traditional finance and decentralized finance. And I think if you believe that it's just going to be, okay, the DeFi world is just going to grow and replace it, I don't believe that. We have to bridge that gap. And Ripple has been working around our payments business in bridging that gap for almost a decade. And for me, Hidden Road represents, if we want the largest market makers, the largest hedge funds in the world to come into this ecosystem, we need the infrastructure to enable that. Hidden Road is one of the fastest growing non-bank prime brokers. Most of the players in the prime broker space are the traditional commercial banks. And for those guys have been hostile towards crypto because of the regulatory dynamic. That's changing a little bit, but Hidden Road, I think, is a subtle, almost flex to their hundreds of clients, names you've heard of, the largest financial players in the world that are using Hidden Road. They cleared $3 trillion last year. They're growing very quickly, and frankly, with Ripple's balance sheet, we're only going to see that accelerate. That's great for the XRP ecosystem. That's great for RLUSD. And I will keep reminding people, Ripple is completely committed to what we can do to make XRP the most trusted, the most useful, and the most liquid digital asset on the planet. We will always be committed to that.
So yeah, when we think about what's really going on here and in terms of the importance of Hidden Road, he just said that they are growing substantially, constantly. And this is going to lead to making RLUSD one of the most liquid stablecoins in the world, but also making sure that XRP is also extremely liquid. I'm very excited about this. But also on top of this, I think that it really shows us where Ripple is at currently in terms of the acquisitive stage. They're focused on key infrastructure because that's the number one thing that he mentioned multiple times there. If we actually go over here, we have Hidden Road's take on RLUSD shows how stablecoins can bridge crypto and institutions, compliance first, liquidity ready. And this is, one key piece of the infrastructure. Here we have one of the first videos. The other one is a little bit longer.
We built RLUSD to meet institutional expectations for trust, liquidity, and compliance. And from day one, it's been designed to serve real financial use cases across payments, tokenized assets, and capital markets. Today, we want to explore what RLUSD actually enables, not just as a stablecoin, but as an asset that complements XRP and helps extend the utility of the XRPL. RLUSD complements the XRPL community by offering a stable asset and giving both retail and institutional users new ways to interact with the network. We're joined by partners from Hidden Road and Bitstamp by Robinhood. We're playing key roles in how RLUSD is being used and supported on the XRPL today. Together, we'll talk about where they see the most momentum, what this means for users, and how it fits into the bigger picture of where XRPL is heading.
Now, on top of that, going over to Hidden Road themselves, this is where we start to really kind of hear from Higgins on exactly what Hidden Road is focused on.
Active prime brokers in the world. And now you're integrating RLUSD into your institutional workflows, moving those to the XRPL as well. So at a high level, how do you see RLUSD fitting into your brokerage business? And what use cases have stood out so far?
Sure. First and foremost, many thanks to the entire team at Ripple for organizing this awesome event and giving us the opportunity to speak today. At Hidden Road, we clear about $3 trillion annually for a few hundred institutions across both traditional markets and digital assets. Our clients trade thousands of different products across dozens of end destinations. And as a prime broker, it's our responsibility to both clear those trades and settle all of those obligations. And so efficiency, speed, reliability are non-negotiable characteristics for any asset that we consider on our platform. And so looking at RLUSD, it really fits that mold. It's NYDFS regulated. It's a dollar-backed stablecoin that's effectively backed by US deposits and short-term US treasuries. And so that stablecoin fit seamlessly into our workflows as a trusted asset for both collateral and settlement. And kind of the low volatility nature of that made it a really good asset for cross-margining both traditional assets and digital assets. But maybe taking a step back, Lauren, and just kind of briefly describing the role of a prime broker, I think is important. So PBs are effectively access providers. We provide access to two things. One is for clients to onboard, and institutional clients to onboard and trade across the whole ecosystem. As an institutional client, they have a fiduciary responsibility generally to source the best price. So it's important that they're able to scan the market in real time. The second is access to balance sheet, so they can trade across that whole ecosystem in a capital and cost-efficient way. So to unpack that a little bit more, looking at crypto in particular, there are many dozens of exchanges, DEXs, where you need to open accounts and pre-fund those, which makes that capital inefficient. And so through a PB, you just need to post margin against your net risk. So our role in the market is effectively to risk manage the trade through its whole life cycle, from pre-execution to settlement. And then post-trade is to manage those trades and positions on our ledger. But looking at it from a risk perspective, what we care about is effectively looking at the client's entire portfolio, his center book risk. And based on our methodology and the math behind it, the client needs to post a collateral position against that. On the collateral, there's two characteristics. One is the type of collateral and the quality of that collateral. And the second is, if the market was to deteriorate, how quick could the client top up that collateral, called the margin period of risk. But going back to the first one, if you look at US dollars, that's the highest quality collateral because the volatility in that's the lowest. If you compared that to something like Bitcoin, we accept that as good collateral, but that's a 60 vol asset, right? So we'd haircut that more. So when we looked at RLUSD, we were able to make that equivalent to dollars, so it's effectively the highest quality collateral that sits on Hidden Road's platform. That's a big change. The second, going to the speed in which a client could top up the collateral or cure a margin call. If you were using legacy fiat systems, we know that that could take anywhere from 2 to 3 days. And so we calibrate our margin period of risk based on that slippage. And so that would increase the amount of margin that needs to be posted. Move to the world of RLUSD, we understand that that can be shipped to us as good collateral 24/7, including weekends and holidays. And so that shrinks that MPOR I was describing, which makes the trade more capital efficient. And so RLUSD adjusts our risk framework, but I think the overall movement here is being able to ship good collateral 24/7. That's the exciting step forward.
Yeah,
And if we actually think about that, right? Like, this is Hidden Road talking about this. All right, Hidden Road is addressing how RLUSD is like the big secret thing behind making sure that they have proper liquidity. They have something there that they could tap into at any time. If we think about Hidden Road being one of the big players to actually tap in here, imagine how many big other Hidden Roads are out there that are looking at what Hidden Road just did, realizing the power of this move, and thinking, maybe it's time for us to do this same exact thing. This is why when we think about this overall acquisition, yeah, we think about the size immediately. All right, 3 trillion per year, 300, institutional clients. That's massive. But think about all of the other big players out there that have another 300 or 400 or 500 institutional clients, or are, moving 6 trillion, $10 trillion per year. This is where things start to really kind of unfold. And I do think that we are going to get to that point where we have multiple hidden roads on the XRP ledger based around RLUSD, integrated within the entire pipeline as well. And it all really kind of happens through Ripple acquisitions. I'm very excited about the future. I think that this is why we keep hearing about Hidden Road, because this is going to make RLUSD extremely big, but it's also going to put a lot of pressure and a lot of volume and value onto the XRP ledger as well, which is going to make, of course, XRP, valuable. So with that being said, I hope that you guys enjoyed this video. If you guys did, definitely leave a like, subscribe, so notifications on because of more free content. You guys are more than welcome to follow me on Twitter and join the free Discord in the description below. And with that being said, guys, thanks for watching. Peace out.